We are on the Tes Amid Beis, starting a new topic. The complicated, it's not really so hard over here, but it's just one of the mysterious topics of Pagin and Dibura. So 5 lines from the bottom. V'amar Rabbi Yosef, Tes Amid Beis. Pliny Rivoi La'ainsai. If someone says, Shimon says, Ruvain was ma'anis me, Mishav Zacha, which is Chayiv Misa, and he did it against my will. If there's another aid, in addition to Ruvain who said that Shimon was ma'anis him, Levi also testifies about it. That's a good aidus. Even though he was the victim, he didn't do anything wrong. It's not his fault. He's a victim, so he could say the aidus. So you see that it's interesting. Like we always think that a victim is an egeya bedavar, right? How could the victim be an aid? But it's not. He's not considered an egeya. He can say that this person was honest me, he forced me, and therefore he gets misa as long as it's just him with one other witness. But if Ruvain says that Shimon wasn't honest him, he didn't force him, he did it willingly, Rashahu, then Ruvain is a Rasha. Rasha aid, the aid chamas. You can't take a Rasha to be an aid. So then his aidus is going to be disqualified because he is a Rasha. He's someone who's Isaac, who's involved in Mishkav Zacha. He was willingly participated in Mishkav Zacha, so we don't trust any aidus he says about anything. So that is Rabbi Yosef. Rava Amar Adam Karav Eitzel Atzmai, Bein Adam Mesam Atzmai Rasha. Rava says no. We don't believe in what he says about himself, that he did it. He was Iver and he was Isaac and Mishkav Zachar willingly. So therefore, we don't say he's a Rasha. We don't believe him that he said he's a Rasha. And as Rashi explains, and the Gemara is going to explain in a minute, but we do believe him about the other person. We say Palgin and Dibura. This is the famous din of Palgin and Dibura. We can believe part of what he's saying, even though we're disbelieving part of it. The part that he's saying about himself, we don't believe, and therefore he's a kosher aid, and therefore we believe his aidus that the other person was mizana, even though he's saying he was mizana with me and I did it willingly. It's a little mind bending, no? You take
quite a bit, so yeah.
The same statement. It's one statement. This person was mizana with me, and we're both really chayav misa. We say the part about himself we don't believe because ein adam meisam atzmei rasha. Person can't testify against himself. Almost maybe like a karavetz alatzmai. But about the other person, if there's a second aid, his aidus is believed. Because if we say palgin and dibura, we split a single word, a single statement into two parts, and we believe part of it.
Okay? We actually killed the one who was mad.
The other person, the other party, if there's another aid. You need to have two aidim to kill someone, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Amar Rava says, another din in this vein, Pliny Baal Ishti. Someone says, someone else, like Reuben says, Shimon was born my wife. So both Shimon and his wife are chayav misa. If there's another aid, then Reuben can get Shimon to be put to death because he's not a karv to Shimon. But to kill his wife, he can't. He's not a kosher aid because she's a karv to his wife. So it's not believed Lagabi his wife, but it is believed Lagabi the other person. Again, there's another application of Palgin and Dibura. Right? If Reuben and Levi both testify that Shimon was bar on Reuben's wife, so Reuben's wife will not get killed because one of the two Adam is Reuben, who's a karv, but Shimon will die because Reuben and Levi are both Adam. Even though we're not believing the part of the statement that relates to his wife, we are believing him Lagabi Shimon. So God says, what's the chiddush of telling me this? About Mafalgin and Dibura, that we say Palgin and Dibura, Hainu Hach. We just said that. We just said in the case of Pliny Rivoi Lertzainai. So why are we saying another example of the same thing? So I might say, and this is such an interesting svar. We sometimes say Palgin and Dibura, and sometimes we don't say Palgin and Dibura, meaning that because we don't split what his statement is, we'll even believe him about his wife. Even though normally a person can't testify about his wife, But since he's anyway saying about this other person, the way Taisus says it is that it's like amigo. It's like it gets schlepped along. Since we're believing him legabe Shimon, that Shimon was born his wife, we'll also believe him legabe his wife. Even though normally he couldn't testify. It's a mind-bending thing, right? Something that is, he can't say Eidos about his wife, but since he's saying also about someone else, therefore we believe his testimony about his wife. Let's see the Taisus. It's literally, I mean, the Baal ke'ishtoi le'inyan Eidos, that a husband is like his wife, legabe Eidos, meaning that it's as if he's being testifying about himself. Over here we'd say, since he's believed to kill to be Neman, to put to death the other party, the one who was born his wife, we also believe him legabe his wife. It's one of the very lumdish sugyas in Shas.
Is that the halacha?
What did you say?
Is that the halacha?
Chalasa?
Is that the halacha? Is that how we pass it?
That I don't know. I couldn't begin to tell you. I don't know if we hold like Rav or like it was a machlekes Rav and Rabbi Yosef. I don't know what we pass him like. Look at the beginning. Well, anyway, this is just a Mao de Tema anyway. We're not saying that this is the halacha. We're saying the reason why we have to say this, because one might think in this case we would believe him. So it's certainly not, it doesn't seem to be, at least in this Gemara, that's the halacha. It's an interesting havamina that one would even think such a thing, that because he's Neman legabe his wife, he's also Neman, since he's Neman legabe the other person, he's also Neman legabe his wife. And we're saying, well, why do we have to say both of these cases? We're saying, because this case I might say that he is believed legabe his wife. Even another case, Reuven says that Shimon, I'm saying Pliny was born a Naira Hameirasa. Reuven says Shimon was born a Naira that was Mukudeshes. So they're both Chayav Misa. The Gemara explains, the Rishonim, explain, this is talking about where he didn't say which Naira Hameirasa it was. He didn't identify her. He just said, I know who it is. But it turns out that this Reuven was not even in there. He was in Chicago at the time that he claimed to have seen this. Nehargan, the Ein Mishalman Mammon. So Reuven is going to get Misa because he was trying to kill the man that he said is Chayav Misa. But since he didn't identify who this woman was, and if what he was saying was true, she would have lost the rights to her to her ksuba. And Rashi explains, we're talking about, we already had this case earlier in the Gemara, and we said that in that case, it will be the same person. Since we don't know who it is in this case anyway, it's not going to be any moment. But okay, we'll believe for a second the exact case. But the Brisa continues. I'm sorry, Rava continues. Bita shal Pliny. But if you said, rather than saying Naira HaMeirasa, you said Reuben was ba on, Yocheved bas Moshe v'huzmu, and then it turns out he was husband. So you said about who the man was and who the woman was. Naharganu Mishalman Mammon. Then he gets killed and he also pays the Mammon. Mammon, why? Because Mammon Lazeh or Nefashas Lazeh. Since it's Mammon, the Nefashas is he's killing the man and the woman. But the Mammon, Rashi explains, is not, the Mammon would go to the father of this woman. This Isha Mukudeshes, we're talking about over here where she was married before she was 12 and a half. So I guess if she's over 12 and less than 12 and a half, she's old enough to get Misa. But regardless, the Mammon is a loss to the father. The father's the one who would get the Ksuba before she becomes a Baigeris. So he's the one who's losing. So since it's the Mammon is affecting a different person, the person who's being killed, therefore this Eid Zayman was trying to do to two separate people. So when it's Mezumim, he has to pay both.
Yeah, but he's only 1/8. It's talking about when there's 2 Eidim or even 1/8.
Well, there was originally two Edom, right? And they both were Huzam.
Okay.
Whenever you have Hazam is always that both of the Edom, there are at least two Edom, and both of them were Mizumin. You have to have even if there were 10 Edom, all 10 of them have to be Mizumin. Like we had before, that they all have to give a Hasra in order to be considered official Edom. Once they're official Edom, you need to be Mazim all of them, and then all of them get punished, even though you only needed two of them. That was the Gemara we had like a blot ago. So he's saying over here, since he was causing a loss of money to a different person that he was killing, so therefore, when he's Huzam, he's Mechuyev on both. It's not Kamle B'derab. We don't say we subsume the Mammon in the Misa. Next case. Sherish Pliny, if he said, where's the case? He left. I'm sorry, I skipped a case. Vamaram. Pliny Riva Hashar. Reuven said that Shimon was born a shar, which is Chayev Misa. V'huzmu. And it turns out that he was lying. Nehargan. He gets killed because he was trying to kill Reuven and he was also trying to kill the cow. He doesn't pay mammon because he didn't say which shar. He just said he was born some shar. So since we don't know which shar, who would have, there's no one who lost any money from having his shar killed. But if he said sharish or plain, if he identified the shar, v'huzmu, then he has to get killed because he's causing Shimon to get killed for being Raveya shar, Mishalman Mammon because he's causing, Levi's shar to be killed, and now he's causing Levi a loss of money. So it's Mammon Lezev and Fashal Zev. In fact, the Mar has two Lamali. Why do we have to say two cases to prove the point that if the Mammon and the Chiyav, the loss of money and the loss of life are to two separate people, and then he's Hozam that he has to pay them both? Hainu Hach. So because we wanted to ask a question about this case. The boy Rabba, Pliny Rabba Shairi. What if a further case? What if Reuven says Shimon was ba on my shar? Mao. What's the din in that case? Miamrin adam karav eitzel atzmai. Ve'ein adam karav eitzel mamayne. Do we say even though he's going to cause his shar to be killed, right? He's saying that the din is that if someone's ba on a shar, he gets killed, the shar gets killed as well. Do we say he's not believed on that edus because he's saying about his own shar? And he's a karav eitzel, his own shar, so he's in a geya. Karav eitzel mamayne. Well, you're looking, I see the face.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's not because it's his shar. It's not related to the shar, but it's his own. Well, the question here really is whether we say Adam Karav Eitzel Mamayne Legabi, whether we say Palginan Dibura, right? Do we say he's not going to be believed about him to cause himself a loss? About his own shar, he's not believed. But maybe over here, since we're believing him about the other person to get him killed, we schlep it along. Normally, he wouldn't be believed to say my shar. Someone was Reveya my shar, but because let's say he didn't, if we didn't know who the other person was, it wouldn't be believed. But in this case, maybe like we said before, like Taisa said, maybe we say amigu. Since he's believed about the other person, we're going to make an exception and allow him to be believed in this case. I don't mean carve on my name. Also, the boy had the pasta. Adam carve so atzmai ve'ena to carve on my name. We say ena chanami. According to Rava, this is taka the halacha that he will be able to testify about his own animal and cause his own animal to be killed, even though normally he would not be believed. Since he's being believed about the other person, he's believed about this as well. So that's Gemara Vayit. Makos b'shloisha. We said in the Mishnah that when you give someone malchus, when you hit someone, it's with three. You need a bezin of three. How do we know this from? Amar Ravuna Amar Kra b'shaftum shnayim. The pasuk says, "Ki yeh riv ben anashim v'nikshay el hamishpat." Well, there'll be an argument between people, and they'll come to the judge, ushvatum, and he'll judge them. So we say b'shaftum Shnayim, that's a Lashon Rabbim, so it means at least two are judging him. But ain't Bezin Shakel. And that's, you can't have only two, so it has to be, you have to add one. And the pasuk continues, then you'll give Malchus to the Rasha. So therefore, since it says V'shaftum, a Lashon Rabbim, we say it has to be three. So tomorrow, what about the rest of the pasuk? It says, here ben Anoshim and Ikshel Mishpat V'shaftum, which is two. But then it says V'tzdiku, also a Lashon Rabbim. They will say whoever is innocent, he's innocent, and whoever is Bershiu, he'll say whoever is guilty is guilty, and both those are Lashon Rabbim. Harekan Sheva, so we should add two more for each of those. V'hitzdiku v'hirshiu, that gets us to 6, and then you add one more for 7. So Gemara, Hahum midbayale kedu'ula, where it says we need it for the din of Ula. Dama Ula. Ram is leidim zayim min atayr minayin. We need for a different pasuk because the Ula asked, where do we see the din of Adam Zayim in the Torah? In fact, the Gemara, Ram is leidim zayim min v'aksiv kasher zamam. It's a straight up pasuk. What do you need a Ram for? What are you asking? Ela Ram is leidim zayim shalaykin minayin. How do we know that Adam Zayim get Malchus? Do you remember right at the beginning of Malchus? You ever learned the beginning of Malchus? You remember it a little bit?
Too long ago.
Yeah, right. In 7th grade, that's when I learned it. But the first blot in Malchus, the first mission is all about if someone says Edus, that a Kayin is a Ben Grusha Ben Chalutza, so he's taking him out of the Kahuna, and then he turns out he's a Ben Zayim, that he's a Zayim, and he has to get Malchus. So when we say that Eid Zayim gets Malchus, that's what we mean. Where do we know a remes for that in the pasuk? So we say the Chsivit, Tzdiku as Asadik v'Yeshua Sarasha. So the Gemara asks, what does that mean? What does the pasuk mean? Tzdiku as Asadik v'Yeshua Sarasha, Vayim ben Hakei Sarasha. What does that mean? That Tzdiku as Asadik. What is it? Because you said this person is innocent, therefore the other person gets Malchus. That gets Malchus because he's chayiv, not because the other person is innocent. So you have to reinterpret the pasuk. Ella Adam Shershiu as Asadik. If you have a case where Adam said someone who is really innocent, they claimed he was guilty. But also, and then other Adam came. So that's what the pasuk is saying. It's tzadik when the Adam come and say that these Adam are Adam Zayimim, they're lying, and the person that they claimed was guilty is really innocent. It's tzadik to make the person was really innocent from the beginning. And then we say, Stikot Tzadik v'Yeshua Sarasha, that's Yeshua Sarasha is referring to the Eid Zayimim. Then V'hayim ben Hakei Sarasha, then those Eidim Zayimim will become a Rasha that will get Malchus. That's what we see, the Eid Zayimim gets Malchus. So what do we need a whole complicated pasuk to teach us that an Eid Zayimim who said false Eids about someone gets Malchus in a case where, we can't do Kasher Zama? Let's say because the Torah says, you're not allowed to lie, so it's a lav, and every lav gets Malchus. Why do we have to have a special din that Eid Zayimim gets Malchus? So the Gemara the lav she'ein b'maisa, lav she'ein b'maisa ain't like lav. It's a lav she'ein b'maisa. There's no maisa when you're just talking. Talking would normally not result in Malchus, so therefore we have to have a special pasuk to say he gets Malchus. So then we continue. Mishum b'Yishmael amru b'esem rishleisha. Malchus, you need a betin of 23 for Malchus. So tomorrow, my time of the Rabbi Shmuel. What's the reason of Rabbi Shmuel? He says you need 23. Amar Baya, Asya Asher Rasha, Asya Rasha Rasha Michai Mises. You learn that from Chai Mises Bezdin. Ksiv Hachav Hayim bin Hakei Rasha. It says if the Rasha is liable to getting Malchus, it calls also someone who's getting killed a Rasha. So you learn from Misa that needs 23. Malchus also needs 23 with the Gzeir Shava of Rasha. Rava says a fascinating pshat. Rava Amar, Malchus Misa, I met this. He says no. Malchus is a different form of Misa. I know that sounds very strange, but that's what Rashi says. Malchus, let's see the Rashi 2 lines down in the wide lines. Malchus Malchum Misai Medis. The Kivin the Avar as Horace by right, since he violated what the Rabbi Shalom told him to, Roy Lamas, he deserves to die. When someone is chayiv on any lav in the Torah, he really deserves misa. O misa zu knas olav hakosav. This is a knas of the pasuk. Va'arehu ka'achas menam misas. It's like one of the misas, like someone who killed someone, or someone who is mezana, someone who is mechal Shabbos. Just like you have all the different types of misa a person get. Malchus is really one of the other forms of misa. So that's mind blowing, right? That Malchus is really, it's not really Dal Mises Bezin, it's really Hey Mises Bezin. And the fifth one is getting Malchus, getting flogged. So the Gemara takes this very seriously. Amar Rav Acha Breder Rava l'Ravashi Ihachi Omdina Lomali. You remember from Mesechus Malchus, when someone is chayiv Malchus, they have to make an estimation of how many Malchus he can handle before he's going to die. So he says, why do you have to make such an estimation to see how many he can handle? Let him give him the Malchus, and if he dies, he dies. Because anyway, it's really a form of Misa. He deserves death. This is the form of death that he was given. So what's so terrible if he dies? So Amalei, Amar Krav, Nikla Chicha. Because no, we learn out that a person is not supposed to die from Malchus, because it said the person will be embarrassed in front of you. When he gets hit, he has to be alive. Because it says achicha, it has to be achicha means someone who's alive. He has to be alive in order to get the Malchus. And once he dies, he's no longer achicha, and therefore it's excluded. You can't kill someone with Malchus. In fact, the Gemara will have the Tanya Amdu L'Kabel Esrim. If someone got an estimation that he could only handle 20 claps, on the 21st he's going to die. In Makanai say Al Malchus Haruil Ishtalish. He can only get the Malchus can only be given it has to be divisible by 3, because he always gets 2 on the back and 1 in the front. So you have to get units of 3. So the largest unit of 3 that he could get without killing him, someone's estimated the umdin he can handle 20 is 18. That's the maximum divisible by 3. So in fact, the Gemara, why is that the case? If you're saying that Be'etzan he really deserves Misa, but he can't get a clap when he's a mace, L'mechaya, Esrim, B'chada, give him 21, L'chimayis, B'chada, Limos, let him die on the 21st. The whole issue was we said he has to be alive when he gets it. So let the 21st one kill him, but he was alive when he got the 21st. Why should we worry about it? The Gemara is taking this very seriously, that we don't have a problem with killing someone with Malchus. It doesn't mean that he has to be achicha before he gets the clap. Even after he gets the Malchus, he still has to be your achicha that it's alive. So you can't give an amount that will make him die even afterwards. Okay, we'll leave the Ibra Chodesh. It's a little bit complicated, and I promised only 20-25 minutes tonight, so this will take another 15 minutes. Okay, so I'll try to make something that I could record tomorrow. If you'll be stuck on a ski lift somewhere, you could always listen to it.
I'll probably have some time tonight. I mean, in the evening.
Okay, so we'll see.
We're not doing night skiing.
No, why not?
I don't know. I think the day is enough.